Hi, and welcome to It's Not That Bad, optimistic movie reviews for optimistic people. That's Chad Ekowitz.
And that's Simone LaRue. Wah, wah, wah. We've gotten so good. What are we even doing now?
We're just so snappy. We're getting it.
We're getting it, Thanks again for, coming up with the idea. Without you, this wouldn't have been a thing, so,
I am the hero that we all deserve.
Not all heroes wear capes, although I wish more people did wear capes.
Well, Gwyneth Paltrow brought them back for a while, but I really try not to do what she does.
That's the problem. I think if literally anyone else had decided to do it, it would have been a thing. But because it's Gwyneth Paltrow, we have to take it with a huge pinch of salt.
Any trend that Gwyneth Paltrow tries to start, I'm just like, fuck you! She could literally, advocate for, I don't know, orphans. Blind orphans. And I'd be like, fuck you! And this was Hating on Gwyneth Paltrow. Thank you all for listening. We'll speak to you next week.
We'll see you. Goodbye. But no, just in case you have thought that you have fallen down an alternate dimension, which, to be fair, this week we are with Nicolas Cage Week.
Nicolas Cage Week!
Nicolas Cage! But this is the optimistic podcast for optimistic people, where Simone and I take a movie, two movies every week, and we review them and tell you, you know what, they're not that bad.
And then we did Nicolas Cage Week.
I think, and I don't know how you feel, Simone, but I think this has been the hardest week.
I think we say that every week. I feel like I live in a bubble where I end up watching movies that are pretty solid based on recommendations. Or at least movies like Zombie Strippers, where it just doesn't take itself seriously and that's why it's good. These, Nicolas Cage's movies take themselves so seriously, and they should not.
Yeah, I think it's really hard to sort of judge Nicolas Cage in any space and time, because his career has spanned so far and so wide. It's really hard, is it a case of he's actually a good actor and he's just had bad projects? Is it a case of, if you have 1,000 monkeys in a room with typewriters, you're eventually going to get Shakespeare, because he has done more than 70 movies, so at least one of them has to be good.
I mean, some of them are very good. Lord of War, was that it? That one?
Yeah, he was in that. Good. That was good.
So, last podcast on the left, they talk about Nicolas Cage sometimes, and their theory is that, when he, takes on a project, his agent goes, you actually need to act for this one. You actually need to try. And that's clearly not what happened with these two movies.
Oh, no, definitely not. So, let's reveal what we're doing. Yeah. Simone, what's your movie, your Nicolas Cage movie?
I will be doing Ghost Rider, everybody's favorite superhero movie.
I don't care about Avengers or Avengers 4. All I want is Ghost Rider 3.
Series truly killed in its prime. And what movie are you doing?
I am doing what I consider to be Nick Cage's worst movie of all time. I am doing the 1988 classic Vampire's Kiss, which, if you haven't seen, and for some reason, I don't blame you, but go and watch this film. So, everything.
I would, though, advise our viewers, there's, a bit of a trigger warning. It is very upsetting for reasons that we'll get into.
Yeah.
So, if you're sensitive about these things, or, you just feel like having a good time, and maybe you don't want to see Nicolas Cage being fucking terrifying, don't watch it.
Yeah. It is an hour and a half to 2 hours, I guess, of your life that you'll never get back. But it also... it's sort of like looking into eternity and coming out of it insane, and that's the beauty of it in itself. It's because it's seeing the void and have the void see you back.
So, Chad, for this very special week, what are you drinking?
I'm taking it chilled because I wanted my faculties about me for this one, because I think, we have to have our faculties about us. So I'm having a very chilled beer. I'm having a Stella Artois.
Oh, I like Stella Artois.
Yeah, they're quite nice. Which only has a 4.8 volume. But it's a nice beer. It's relatively chill. And yeah, it will do the job. What are you drinking today?
I am drinking a Windhoek Draft, also a beer.
Oh man,
from Namibia.
I miss Windhoek.
Windhoek, like, it's not my favorite, but it's solid.
Yeah, you don't get them in this country, so I do feel very jealous.
Rudy buys them, and I just drink them when I have to podcast, and they're the only thing in the fridge.
That's what I did this week.
Aww.
Because it was the last thing in the fridge. My mum was like, "You should take the tequila," and I was like, "Are you fucking crazy?"
For Nick Cage week?
She's a mentalist, and then she called me a pussy. So
your mom's amazing.
It's an interesting lifestyle. So what percentage is your Windhoek?
It's only 4%.
Ha!
So
how did I win this week?
Win. You thought you could put off talking about this movie.
Oh man. But no, I have to go first. And I mean, to be fair, who truly wins with Nicolas Cage?
Nicolas Cage wins.
Oh man. I like to think of Nicolas Cage as a wild horse in the fact that you can't do, like, you just got to let him do his thing.
Yeah.
And if you get too close, you're in the danger zone, and you got to watch for that.
Yeah, that's true. That's really true.
Right. So, well, I'm gonna get into this. You know, you just got to dive in, I guess. This plot synopsis was hard to do because there's sort of two plot lines with this film, and both are as dumb as the other. So I've tried my best. So bear with me if this seems confusing. Here we go. Peter Lowe, played by Nicolas Cage, is a high-powered literary executive living in the beautiful city of New York. His life seems pretty perfect. Single, young, powerful, rich. He has a slew of women who he beds and then discards. And yes, in the 80s, this was considered the perfect life. Peter has been asked to search for a particular contract for one of his clients. But the particular files of this client are in a complete disarray, so he hands the task off to one of his secretaries, Alva, played by Maria Conchita Alonso. Now, poor Alva is the most junior member of the team and is constantly harassed by Peter throughout the film because she can't seem to find the contract. Well, we'll come back to this in a second now. One night, Peter is out at a club and he brings this lovely lady, Rachel, played by Jennifer Beals, back to his place. Turns out, she's a vampire. She bites him and turns him into a vampire. We think. It's kind of unclear. Peter then transitions into a vampire, in italics. He can't stand sunlight, though he can still go out in the day. He can't see himself in mirrors, even though we can. And he feasts on bugs and stuff, though it's not clear why he needs to, really. It seems like it's more of a psychotic episode than him actually turning into a vampire, but yeah, unclear as fuck. So back to the harassment of Alva. So, Peter makes her life hell because she can't find this contract. He makes her stay late, he chases her around the office, and physically and mentally abuses her. Eventually, Alva gets to the point where she asks her brother, played by Robert Lujan, for a gun. He gives her the gun with some blank bullets in it. Eventually, after even more harassment, Alva pulls the gun on Peter and shoots him to try and ward him off. Being blanks, they don't actually work, but Peter doesn't know this, and so he thinks he's a vampire and is thus immortal. It comes to a point where he takes the gun off Alva, puts the gun in his mouth, and shoots himself. He doesn't die, so boom, logical conclusion is to consider yourself a vampire. He then rapes Alva. He later goes to Chinatown and picks up some cheap plastic vampire teeth. He proceeds to go to a club, where he meets a nice lady, and bites her, but because he's not actually a vampire, he kills her. In a complete mental breakdown towards the end of the film, he takes a plank of wood fashioned into a stake and tries to kill himself, but he can't. He then imagines himself talking to his psychiatrist, who absolves him of the rape and the murder, and sets him up with another patient of hers. Peter then, in the real world, takes his imaginary new girlfriend back to his place and he goes to sleep. Alva's brother finds out what Peter did to Alva, and so he tracks Peter down to try and kill him. He follows him back to his apartment and kills him with the stake from earlier. End of movie.
Jesus Christ. The thing is, when you say the plot like the way you've said it, it sounds like a horror movie, right? Like, it sounds like a psychological thriller. It's really dark, it's awful, but they play it off like a dark comedy. Yeah,
it's sort of, a lot of the comedy lies in Nicolas Cage's face and his actions and how, like, berserk he looks and acts. And yeah, like you said, I think it was portrayed as a comedy, like they were just trying to make it funny.
Yeah.
And I mean, yeah, even like it's just not funny. I mean,
Watching all the scenes with Alva is some of the most upsetting content I have seen in a very long time. I used to have bosses, not obviously as fucking nuts as Nicolas Cage, but I'd also have bosses who, like, are really nice to you 1 second, and then the next second they are shitting on you for something that is beyond your control. And it's awful, and it's abuse. It's like, all of the things he does are just abuse tactics.
yeah, for real.
And this poor lady is just, like, trying to do her job and trying to be nice, and, like, you see, it's awful. You see her react whenever he is nice to her. Like, she's, like, kind of cute, too, when she'll, like, share something from high school or whatever. And, like, just as she lets her guard down, he turns around and fucking starts shitting on her again and chasing her through the office, and nobody cares. Like, nobody's helping her.
Yeah, even at one point, one of the ladies is like, "Oh, he's so powerful and handsome, and you know, he's just a maverick."
Eccentric.
Like, yeah, that's the word I think she used. Yeah, eccentric. And it's just like, no, he's an abuser, and this is really unacceptable behavior.
And I feel like part of it, I don't know if maybe, like, because it was the 80s and Alva's obviously Latina, but, like, if we're just not supposed to care about her as much.
Yeah, like, it doesn't...
Because they really, like, even when he does rape her, they really just kind of play it off. Like, it's such a non-scene. And I didn't even think anything had happened until later when he says to his therapist that he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, this poor girl. Like, and also her acting was really good. All credit to the actress. She did a really good job, and, like, it's awful the whole way through. You see how scared she is, and, like, he shows up at her house to get her to come back to work. That's
and
insane.
Like,
that's stalking.
She's so unassuming and just, like, really pleasant to him, and, like, even believes him when he's like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I messed up, I shouldn't have been that mean to you." And then he gets her into the taxi, and then he's like, "You're gonna stay late, and if you don't find that contact, I'm gonna murder you," and shit. Like,
that's what abuse is,
like,
you guys.
Awful. like, this should be the standard film that they show at HR meetings to show what not to do. Like, he is a fucking monster to her.
And his bosses don't care. He has a meeting with his bosses later where they're all laughing, and he's like, "Oh yeah, I chased her into the bathroom, like, I had a bit of a moment." And everybody's laughing about it.
Yeah, they're all like, "Oh, she's just a woman, who cares? Ha 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 ha." And it's, they're assholes to like... It's unexcusable, and it makes no sense at all why not even one person was just like, "Yeah, this is completely wrong."
Yeah, because that's the thing. Like, you can't even pass this off as, like, maybe it's social commentary about, like, this poor woman being harassed by her boss, and nobody's doing anything about it. But, like, it's not done that way. Like, it's just a plot point. It's not a social commentary. No. Like, what happens to her is, like, just sort of part of Nick Cage's story. It's not even her own story. I have a lot of problems with it. But let's talk about the rest of the movie.
I want to talk about the accent, because that's the first and most sort of questionable thing I have of this whole film. I'm Peter Lowe. I don't know if I have a British or an American accent. And it kind of goes and comes back whenever I want it to. I don't know what to do, and I was watching it, and I was thinking, oh, okay, so for some reason he's British, and that's fine. Like, because when he comes out the club, he's like, "Let me take you to my castle," and he's like super high posh British, and I was like, okay, that's an interesting take for Nicolas Cage.
But sometimes I go British when I'm drunk, and I'm doing a bit.
Yeah, but when you're sober, you go back to your normal accent, and I mean, listen, you and I both have no room to talk when it comes to accents. No. We're a bit of a mess in ourselves. But we know how Nicolas Cage usually sounds. And so we know when he's doing an accent or when he's not doing an accent. And it flips in this movie between whatever. By sentence, not even by scene. There'll be sentences that he'll just switch back to American halfway through. And it's just... It's in itself mesmerizing.
You know, I will say a lot of the entertainment... Like, so I think... nobody else could have done this role. Like, this was a role written for Nicolas Cage. Because obviously at some point, a director said to him, listen, we're going to put fake vampire teeth in you. We're going to cover you with blood. And then we want you to walk down the streets of New York with a plank under your arm, screaming. And he was like, awesome, cool. Just get me out of my trailer when it's time. Like,
I completely agree with you that he was the only one to do it. But also, is that a good thing, or should this movie have just never been made? If you have to rely... if you have to rely on the pure insanity of Nicolas Cage, then probably a bad move to keep this movie going. Because, legitimately, half of the visual and comedic gags are of him either walking funny, as only Nicolas Cage can, talking funny, as only Nicolas Cage can, or his face. And that's another thing which we spoke about before we started the podcast, was that this is the source of so many Nicolas Cage memes, is this film. Which it was nice to see. It's always nice to see sort of the result of, modern culture being, and the origins thereof. But I don't understand why we had to watch this movie in order to see those things. The
thing is, at the end, you haven't learned anything. There's no real moral or even a story to it. It's a dude having a mental breakdown, hurting a bunch of women. He's somehow still the hero of the story. And then he gets murdered, which, thank God. I was worried he was gonna, get away or, murder her brother or something, and I was about to be so pissed.
It seemed like he was gonna get absolved of everything. So it is good that he died in the end. But yeah, you're right. He is still the protagonist, and he is still the hero of the film, and therefore it makes it a tragedy, which it really shouldn't be. You've got this tyrannical asshole running around New York, doing whatever he wants, raping and murdering and harassing someone.
Because he thinks he's a vampire.
Because that's the thing. It's the movie makes it seem that Rachel is in fact a vampire, and then therefore that he is a vampire.
Yeah.
But then halfway through it feels like they switched the message and they were like, okay, well, it's actually just a psychotic break.
Yeah.
Because there's that scene where he can't see himself in the mirror. And I thought that they had just fucked up the green screen and they were just like, look, it's too late to change it now. The film's out.
Yeah.
We can't do anything, and so we can't take him out of the mirrors, so we'll just pretend. Everyone will just pretend. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
And then the teeth thing came in at the end, and I was like, okay, so... Wait, what's happening now?
She's just a girl
is she
who,
a vampire?
gave him a hickey.
Yeah, because, he wears the plaster thing over him, but she keeps coming back.
What, did you read any trivia about this movie? Was there anything at all to explain why this movie happened?
why it became. I did read the trivia on this film, and there was nothing to do with why this film became its thing. It was literally just about sort of his psychosis and interesting facts about where the buildings were and what rooms they were and shit like that. There was absolutely nothing to explain this, because I don't think you can explain it.
Well, I thought it was going to be maybe a Waterworld situation where you're like, oh, why did it
with
not
the budget,
do well?
right?
Yeah. And then, Kevin Costner being, an absolute asshole. It was Kevin Costner, right? I'm not... Yeah.
I think it was, I'm pretty sure.
And maybe it was oh, Nick Cage had a dream and wrote a screenplay, and everybody went along with it. So, what did you like about the film?
Yeah, let's try and keep true to the podcast, I guess, if we can. I liked the fact that... Good question, Simone.
I will say, the performances that the lady who played Alva gave and the lady who played Rachel gave were very good. They were both very, magnetic performances. And that is it.
That is it. I was hoping that my sentence would carry on to something that I liked about it. I was hoping my brain would just have a stroke of inspiration. But, I mean, if Nicolas Cage was indeed told to be as fucking lunatic as he can, then his performance too was excellent. If he was left to do his own thing because no one can cage Nicolas Cage, then, Jesus, we have a problem and this man needs to be stopped.
I don't know how many actors, like, again, it was the 80s, so maybe it was, like, a different time, and, like, raping someone could be considered comedy, but I can't think of why anyone else would read this script and go, yeah, that's something I want to have my name on.
Yeah.
Like, even the actress playing Rachel, she didn't have to be there. She had just been in Flashdance.
Oh, really? Oh, damn.
Yeah, so, like, she didn't have to be there. But also, it was a really cool role for her, like...
Yeah, because she was, like, super powerful. And I think maybe if you saw it through that lens, this movie could actually potentially be good. If you see it through the lens of what is actual power, who has actual power, then it would sort of be an interesting take on it, because Rachel is the one who actually has all the power. And Nicolas Cage is just subject to his psychotic break, and unfortunately, Alva has to suffer through that, being sort of just a junior in the firm and everything. At the end, yes, Nicolas Cage gets his just desserts, and Alva still is sane. I mean, yes, unfortunately, she has been raped, and she has to live with that for the rest of her life, and that's awful. That's fucking horrendous. But the evil is out of the world, and maybe in that respect it's a story of retribution. I don't know. I'm trying to find some lens that makes this film acceptable.
I think it also was interesting because the whole movie kind of shows his relationships with women. It starts off with him, like, having random sex with women, but also he, like, talks to his psychiatrist, who's also a woman, about how, like, he'll be intensely interested in a woman that, like, the night before, and then the next morning, like, he doesn't care about her, and then maybe he does meet this woman who makes him feel something, and he just doesn't know how to handle that, and it goes into, like, sort of how a lot of men are trained, basically, to hate women or not respect women.
Yeah.
And I wonder if maybe that's what they were going for, but they did not do a good job.
No. I think that therapy session where he says he was turned on by the bat as well. That was odd as balls. Like,
I mean, I don't want to kink shame anyone.
No, I mean, if you're into bats, that's cool, man. Don't
hurt a bat.
Don't hurt a bat. Like, bestiality is still illegal, so just watch yourselves. It's a really hard movie to plug down, I feel, and it is an enigma in that respect. But I think it really, what was cool about it in a way was sort of the dual plots of the contract and the craziness of Nicolas Cage, in the fact that it was cool to see that as the contract was being closer and closer to being found, the more crazy he got. And sort of the fact that the whole film kind of the whole film centers around this contract, this fucking contract that causes Alva so much pain and strife, is the thing that breaks Nicolas Cage. Because, like, the dude who wants the contract, the client, he's just like,
he doesn't even
care.
No,
it's fine. Yeah, he doesn't even care. But it's so important to Nicolas Cage, and it's this element of control, like, you know, maybe it goes back to what you were saying about his relationship to women, and the fact that he seems to be very in control of women, and then he meets Rachel, who completely dominates him.
Yeah.
And so, in a way, the contract thing is how he gets his power back, because he can dominate Alva over about it, even though it doesn't really matter. And maybe that's the point of why he has this psychotic break, is because, you know, he doesn't have this power anymore, and it doesn't matter. The thing in his life that doesn't matter, that's fleeting and is completely irrelevant, is the only place that he has dominance anymore.
That is probably the most intellectual anyone's ever gotten about this movie.
Nicolas Cage is going to find this, and he is going to contact us.
That's what I was fucking going for.
You guys have got it. I'm proud of you. Well done, guys.
Crack the code. Here's your prize. It's my castle.
I'm going to teach you how to do my English accent. The best English accent.
Hi, I'm Peter Lou. He sounds kind of like... You know what it is? He sounds like Stewie from Family Guy.
He does a little bit, actually. Good shout there. Well done.
I finally pinned it down.
You pinned it down, and that's another reason why he's going to contact us.
He's like, that's exactly what
that's where Seth Green got the inspiration from.
I wouldn't even be fucking surprised. So, what's your scene that could have saved it, if any? I feel like we've gone into a lot, and I'm not sure a single scene.
No, I 100% agree with you, and I don't think a single scene could have saved it, but I would argue that this film could have been an absolute classic film. This could have been up there in terms of psychological thrillers, but they didn't play it right. Like you said, they played it as a dark comedy, which was a mistake. I would akin this film to American Psycho with Christian Bale.
Yeah. It's very
if they
similar.
Had played it right. It's very similar, exactly. Like, for those who haven't seen it, in American Psycho, Christian Bale goes through like a psychotic break where he essentially just starts murdering people, and it's all great, and you know he turns into a psycho. And this film is very similar in the vein that he's a high-powered businessman, is Nicolas Cage, who devolves into madness and eventually dies. And it's that break between reality and his perceived world of being a vampire. And if they had played it like that, and if they had played his madness as serious, not as a dark comedy, it would have made his stupid faces and stupid accent and stupid movements and screaming in the middle of New York that he's a vampire even better than trying to pass it off as a comedy.
Yeah, I completely agree, because obviously the stuff that happens to women in American Psycho is awful.
Mm-hmm.
But that's not passed off as comedy. It's very rightly passed off as something awful.
Yeah.
And we know that, like, what's his name? The guy...
Christian Bale?
No, but what's his, like, character's name?
Isn't it Norman Bateman?
Yeah, Norman Bateman. Something like that. Or Patrick Bateman.
Something like that. Patrick Bateman, yeah.
There we go. You were thinking of Norman Bates, that's where...
Also, Psycho, but yes.
I don't know. I love American Psycho, man. It has so many layers to it.
It's a great film. Apparently the book is really fucking terrifying. I haven't read it.
I will not.
Yeah, anyway, tell me, what's your scene that could have saved it?
Also, making this a psychological thriller, but with Alva as the main character.
That could have been good.
Yeah, so it's her story. It's like her increasing anxiety around how her boss is treating her and all this stuff, and how he seems to keep thinking he's a vampire, and maybe, like, in her head she's like, oh shit, but is he a vampire?
That could have been good, yeah.
And then, like, you know, everything happens, and, like, at the end her brother, like, stabs him with a wooden stake, and, like, she realizes he's just, like, a sad, stupid, like, pathetic dude who had a mental breakdown.
That would have been good.
Not that there's anything inherently pathetic in having a mental breakdown. It was just like, you know, you can have a mental breakdown and not rape and murder. Yeah,
that's a good shout. I mean, if and we will include links to you know, sort of, because everyone has breakdowns in their lives. It's okay. Like, life is hard, and as Simone said to me earlier this week in the best sentence ever, life gets harder.
That's not an encouraging message.
It was a super encouraging message. Life gets harder.
In the context it was.
Yeah, in the context it was. But yeah, I mean, life does get hard, and if you need help, it's okay. Like we said the other week when we dealt with depression, you know, there are people out there who can help you, and sometimes it just helps to talk. Like, you don't need that. So we'll include some links in the footnotes. But yes, I agree with you. I think that would be a really good movie, seeing it from Alva's point of view.
Yeah.
I think, you know, her story is really good in this, and the fact that her mother doesn't care, or doesn't not care, but she just thinks...
When he chases her into the bathroom, and she's, like, obviously backs up against the wall terrified, there's another, like, old lady in the bathroom, and she just, like, doesn't give a shit. She's like, oh, I don't know what's happening, and she, like, walks out. Whereas, like, I feel like now any woman worth their salt would be like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, get out.
Yeah, I think that is the most problematic thing about this film, is that no one seems to care, like, except the brother. Like, everyone else does not give a shit, and they just, like, pass a blind eye. And it's not even social commentary, because this film doesn't call for social commentary.
No.
Right, so I shall now move on to bad film or bad director. Robert Bierman is the director of this adventure, this intrepid voyage that we all undertook together. He's done a lot more TV than he has done film. So he's done episodes of Holby City, which is a British hospital procedural drama, which is amazing. He's done Waking the Dead, which is also a British one. Casualty, also a British one. The Inspector Lynley Mysteries, also British. The Bill, British. I don't know about Murder in Suburbia, Rockface, The Blonde Bombshell. But he hasn't done too many movies. So I think that, first of all, this is a bad film. There's no question about it. I don't think he's a bad director, because I personally love Holby City and Casualty. They are my weekly fix of hospital dramas.
I have seen neither. I will trust you.
Which is fair. They are on BBC Entertainment in South Africa, so if you ever are... Oh, of course not, because who would pay for DSTV? It's such a fucking rip-off.
It's such a rip.
But yes, definitely try and catch one if you haven't seen Holby or Casualty yet. But yeah, so I think this is a bad film. There's no question about it. And like I said, Nicolas Cage is a wild horse that cannot be controlled and therefore cannot be directed. You can give him suggestions, but he will not take them on board unless he wants to. And that's just the risk you take with having Nicolas Cage in your film.
True.
Yeah, and so I feel that he isn't necessarily a bad director, but he's better at directing short things than a long thing like this.
Did he write the film?
I don't think he did write the film. I'll see who wrote the film quickly. Let's see, writing Joseph Minion.
Joseph, we gotta talk, man.
Yeah, he's done a very short amount of things, but he did Airport 2012, The Collection, On the Run, Motorama, Vampire's Kiss, Julia and Julia, Amazing Stories, After Hours, and The Office. And not After Hours as in the Cracked thing. Another different thing. So he hasn't written an awful lot.
The Office is pretty good.
No, also 1981, so it's not The Office.
Oh.
Yeah, it's not The Office. So I wouldn't necessarily trust him on this either. But yeah, I don't think Robert Breyer is a bad director per se.
Look, it's a movie that was made in a weird time where this would probably be considered okay.
Right, so I'm going to say that's it. I'm going to
done.
close the book on this film forever. So, Simone, now that I have finally put my Nicolas Cage film to bed, let's get into the marvel of yours. I'm so excited. I really, really am.
So, Ghost Rider. I am, again, doing the synopsis with the help of IMDb because I didn't pay attention to some of, the demon details. Okay.
Just fair.
Our story follows Johnny Blaze, a motorcycle stuntman at a circus. He partners up with his dad, Johnny Blaze, and his girlfriend, Roxanne, played by Eva Mendes. They decide that they're going to run away together because her dad wants her to move in with him instead of staying with her mom. Or, no, she's moving with her mom. Because her dad wants her to. Yes. Johnny agrees that they should run away. When he gets back home, he realizes that his father is dying of cancer, which means that he can't leave. That evening, on a walk through the abandoned fair rides, he runs into Mephistopheles, a demon played by Peter Fonda. Mephistopheles offers to cure Johnny's dad of all illness in exchange for Johnny's soul. Johnny thinks about it for about 2 seconds, says, great, and it's done. The next morning, sure enough, Johnny's dad, played by Brett Cullen, is 100% cured, feeling much better. Johnny tells him that he's leaving. His dad's, actually really nice about it and tells him to take his bike. Unfortunately, because dealing with demons is never a good idea, Mephistopheles sets it up so that Johnny's dad dies in his next motorcycle performance. That way, he did fulfill his bargain, he cured his dad, but he also still found a way to fuck him over, which is why you never make deals with demons.
Yeah, there are 11 seasons of why not to make deals with demons in Supernatural.
Yeah. Mephistopheles then informs Johnny that he has a higher plan for him, so Johnny can't die. We then cut to 10-ish, 15-ish years later.
Who knows?
Where Johnny is one of the greatest stuntmen in the world, performing insane stunts and never dying because he can't. But he still has some very sweet friends who try to look after him. Then, one fateful day, Johnny is interviewed by sexy reporter, his ex-girlfriend, Roxanne.
Oh, snap.
He's
Who
so
would've
excited.
thought?
He completes his crazy stunt, jumping over a bunch of helicopters, runs after her, demanding a date, gets the date, and then goes home. Only to find that now Mephistopheles is here to fucking cash in. So he tells Johnny that he'll release him from his contract if he becomes the Ghost Rider, which is essentially like a hitman for a devil. And apparently contingent on being a Ghost Rider is becoming a flaming skeleton.
Yeah, that's the uniform, it would seem.
And what he wants him to do is defeat his evil son, Blackheart, who and all of his, cronies who want to possess 1,000 evil souls and transform Earth into hell.
Yep, that's the one.
That's the best I can reckon it. What follows is a series of fights and battles, all while Johnny's trying to get Roxanne to like him. Inexplicably, she still does. And he finally battles it out. He defeats Blackheart. He gets the girl, and he says, no, you know what? Don't end my contract. I'm going to keep it, because he can do a soul weighing thing where he can see how evil someone's soul is, and he's going to use that for justice. And the movie ends.
Yep. That's about it. Look, it's early Marvel. They're still working things out.
Here's my thing. My theory is that it was really Nolan's Batman movies that showed us that superhero movies can be really good.
Yeah.
And this was pre-Nolan's Batman. So this is still when we were all pretty sure that superhero movies were going to be shit forever. So I don't think they even really made a go of it. You know what I mean? They were just yeah, it's like a guy who flames, enjoy it or whatever, nerds. And that was it.
Nerds. Yeah, it is true. I think you're right there in that it was made at the wrong time. Because Ghost Rider is not a big superhero. He's not sort of one of the main guys that you go to. If you think superhero, you don't immediately go, yes, Ghost Rider, that guy, he's a Marvel guy. So to put him as one of the very first MCU superheroes is a huge mistake.
Yeah.
You start with your big guys, your Iron Mans, your Spider-Mans, your Captain Americas.
They did when they officially started the MCU. They started with Iron Man, which was an amazing superhero movie, post Nolan's Batman, so...
Post Nolan's Batman, exactly. It's a good theory you have there, I like it.
Yeah.
And, so it was sort of just, like you said, here you go nerds, enjoy.
Yeah.
And it was just lazy. It was really lazy because I think it would be an absolute fucking pleasure to have Nicolas Cage as part of the official MCU and coming for a return in
but only
the
if
new
he's
Avengers
trying. That's my caveat. He has to actually fucking try. He can't just, put on a crazy face and, bullshit his way through kind of following the script.
I think he would be perfect against Thanos. He would be absolutely brilliant.
Just screaming.
I'm the Ghost Rider, into Thanos' face, and he's just, Thanos is just what do I do with this guy? How do I handle him?
Well,
that's my dream.
What were your thoughts about this movie in general?
I think it is plucky, to say the least. I think it has its problems now. Rewatching it, I was like, oh, okay, this is unfortunate. But, when I first watched it and when it first came out, I was like, yeah, this is a pretty alright film. I mean, he's sort of a darker superhero. He's not he's not a typical sort of Spider-Man or an Iron Man. He's not fighting for good. He is the devil's sort of contract killer. And I think that's pretty interesting in, it's a dark superhero. He's an anti-hero in a sense.
Yeah, of course.
Because of that. And I think that's a really cool vibe to take. I liked the bike things. That was good fun.
Yeah.
It was baffling to me. I had to sit back and I had to really think about it because, so he's apparently one of the best stuntmen in, modern times, right?
Yeah.
His track record, and I think they say it in the film, he crashes more than he succeeds at a jump. So he's not a good stuntman by any reckoning. He's just he's willing to just fucking do it. So he's not good at his job. Like, he is very bad at his job.
I think if you do those stunts and you survive, that makes you good at your job.
No, he's just super lucky. He's bad at his job. And yet people keep giving him money to jump things that he's never gonna jump. Like, if you're gonna lie about it, go and just be like, yeah, I'm gonna get hit by a cannonball today. Like, people will still pay you good money.
I mean, that was Jackass, basically.
Yeah, exactly. So,
Can you
I don't
imagine
understand.
if, like, instead of being a stuntman, he just done Jackass?
Jackass.
Would have been a very different movie.
The best movie.
Steve-O's one of his best friends.
Yeah, like putting tortoises on his nipples and things, like bite his nipples. And there's Nicolas Cage just like, ha, oh, oh, here, oh. Be amazing. That is the movie we all need.
That's it. There it is.
Oh man. Apparently one of my favourite facts, and I don't know if it's true or not, and you can tell me if you know, is that they modelled the skull, the Ghost Rider skull that he turns into. That's actually modelled after his own skull. Like, they did MRI scans and, like, did a 3D modelling of his own skull.
Show. What a waste of time for all of us.
Like, I mean, you're not wrong.
I'm sorry, that was very mean. It's sweet they went to the effort. In one aspect of the movie.
In the only aspect of the movie. I also thought it was really weird with the old Ghost Rider. I thought he was a really cool sort of...
oh, yeah.
You know, sort of universal messenger to help guide Nicolas Cage through this journey. But I also don't understand the mechanics of the Ghost Rider. So apparently, for those who haven't watched the film, the old Ghost Rider had one shift into Ghost Rider left in him, and he used it to ride with Nicolas Cage to the village of San Maria? I don't remember. But where the scroll of 1,000 souls was buried. So, like, he used that last Ghost Rider shift to do that. Now, does that mean that every Ghost Rider only has sort of a limited amount of ghost riding?
Or was that in, like, his exit contract?
Like,
he
you
was
can
like,
only
fine,
do
but
it
I want
once?
one more.
Is that, like, stipulated at the bottom of the contract?
Yeah, that's why I think if you
in order to
negotiate with
cancel?
demons, you need, like, a lawyer, you know? Like, maybe that's what you
Yeah.
should specialize in, is demon contracts.
I'm thinking about it. I'll just, you know, have you made a deal at a crossroads? Call me.
I'm your guy.
I'll check it for you. There's nothing I can do, but I'll still check how fucked you are.
Demons write a shocking number of loopholes. Oh, you could call them. Your byline is Chad Ekowitz, your sole provider.
Hey, I really like that. Oh my god, I think we've found my future profession now. Once I've qualified as a lawyer, I will go into demonology contract law. The best and most lucrative position. But yeah, I mean, have you chosen another film? Because your last film, Jupiter Ascending, was also about corporate espionage. Are you revealing to us that you have a thing about sort of contracts and corporations?
You know,
like, is that your vibe?
I just love a good contract-based plot line. No, it's completely on accident. Listen.
So, tell me your thoughts. Tell me what was running through your head.
Look, like I said, I'm fairly forgiving of this movie. Like, nobody was trying, and that's okay for, like, the time that it was made. That being said, they could have put, like, a bit of thought into Eva Mendes's character.
Oh man, sexy lamp to the max.
Well, they could have put a bit of thought into all of the characters, because I feel like Johnny Blaze, they try to make it so that he has kind of this, like, aw shucks, like, southern country guy kind of attitude. Like, he's just quiet and, like, cool, and he likes to read and stuff, and, like, on anyone else that would be attractive, and on Nick Cage, it's somehow not.
Yeah, agreed.
But then, like, occasionally he just has these crazy little... You know what? It's like they're trying to make him Noah from The Notebook. Like, just this, like, quiet, cool dude, but then, like, he does, like, all these romantic gestures and stuff. But, like, they break that character so often that he just doesn't really have a cohesive personality.
Yeah, exactly. Like, he's kind of just simple and boring.
Yeah, he's actually an extremely boring character.
And they try to give him gimmicks with the jelly beans as well, and it's a gimmick for gimmick's sake, really.
It looks like fucking insanity. Just let him have, like, a drink. I don't understand.
It's so dumb.
Or, like, have him drinking coffee at least. Jesus.
I mean, do you think the comics were this, like, as boring, or do you think they just fucked it? Because I've never read a Ghost Rider comic.
I haven't read the comics, to be honest, so I can't speak to how well they used the source material.
Fair enough.
Eva Mendez's character just gets... So, he abandons her when they're gonna run away together when they're 18, and then, like, in a speech later, she's like, look, I don't really care, like, I get it, you just lost your dad, like, whatever. But then, like, he insists on her going on a date with him, misses the date, and she's like, well, fuck you, and then she says some really mean stuff, which is like, that's not really necessary. You can just be like, I actually don't need you in my life, I'm very happy.
Yeah.
But then she, like, comes back later to apologize for being a bitch, and then they make out, and then they're in love.
Yeah, it feels very, very forced, especially, like, after everything they've been through. Like,
it's so quick.
She seems so high-powered and professional and amazing. Like, she could be such a power character, and they really just fuck it up.
And, you know, much like the ending of Nolan's Batman Begins, there's nothing wrong with having a love interest who's like, I don't want to be involved in all your fucking crazy.
Yeah.
I accept that you're a superhero and, like, this is what you do, but, like, I'm busy.
I mean, it like you said, I think it was just a very flat script with flat people, and no one tried hard at all.
No.
So, yeah, I mean, what did you like about it?
I thought that the villains, like, all the different demons, like, the costumes and thoughts around that were really cool. I like any story. I really actually love stories with demons and demon contracts. Yeah. I wrote a short story. I want to write more about it. Like, love it.
Yeah.
So, like, I am down with that. I think also the idea of pure evil is always a nice one to sort of mess around with, and then, like, where on the spectrum does Ghost Rider fall? If he's, like, murdering people, but they, like, deserve it, and, like, who really deserves death, and that's all cool. But then again, all those themes are explored really well in The Punisher.
Yeah, which is a much better series. I mean, the movie was pans. The movie was absolutely crap.
Oh, yeah.
But
we don't talk about it.
The series, that didn't happen. But the series is really good, and it explores those things, which in a much better way and a lot less lazy.
Much less lazy.
Much less lazy. I want to talk about, very quickly before we move on, I want to talk about Penitent Stare, which is what it's called.
Oh, is that what it is?
It just came to me. I didn't look it up. It literally just came to me. I was like, okay, what is that dumb name that they called it? It was the Penitent Stare. So, my biggest issue with the Penitent Stare is it's very clear that after you've been stared, you are still alive. Like, you're completely fucked. Like, it's very clear that your soul has been burnt to a husk.
Yeah.
But, you know, the thief who gets penitent stared, he blinks, and so does Blackheart after he's destroyed. So they're still alive, they're still in their body, but they're husks now.
Yeah.
And that's a really fucked up superhero power. That's really not a good thing.
Because it's like, I guess you're technically not killing them, but, like, who gets to decide whose souls are destroyed?
Yeah, like, we've all done bad things. Yeah, we haven't really sort of murdered or raped anyone.
Yeah.
Or robbed, but, you know, we've all done bad stuff, and if you're going to penitent stare us...
Yeah, what are are there levels? Like... But again, I don't want to ask too many questions of this. Maybe it is answered in the source material.
Yeah, good point. So we will endeavour to watch, to read at least all of the Ghost Rider series since it began. Yeah?
Cool. Perfect.
Sounds good. Sounds perfect. Right, so what is the scene that could have saved it for you?
The thing is, plot-wise, the movie's pretty comprehensive. Like, you get the basic backstory at the beginning, and I think it builds up pretty well. So I wouldn't say there's a scene missing.
Okay.
I really liked the actor they got to play young Johnny Blaze.
Yeah, he was cool.
He was actually so good, and he maintained a country accent the whole time.
unlike our favourite
Yeah, his name is
linguist.
Matt Long. And I honestly... I would have just liked to see him star in the movie. because, like, he was really good, and I just, like, I think Nicolas Cage, this was just not the movie for him. Like, this was not a character for him. It was, like, you get the sense that the Ghost Rider is a pretty subdued, like, serious kind of guy, and I just didn't get that from him. Whereas the younger actor, like, the scene where he's, like, really playing off whether he should make this contract with the demon, he does a really good job, I thought. Like, I thought his acting was really solid. And it would have been cool to see that actor then go through the different moral dilemmas associated with being the Ghost Rider.
Yeah, that would have been really, really good. I agree with you there. You know, not everyone can play a superhero. No. I mean, I would love to see Jake Gyllenhaal being a superhero in either the MCU or the DCU.
Yeah.
But he would not be good at it, and I have to resolve myself to that fact. I don't think he would be a good anything. I don't see Jake Gyllenhaal being a good superhero.
I think, like, Jake Gyllenhaal is almost, like, too serious. Like, he's too good at acting. Yeah. And I think there's, like, in superhero movies, you have to have an element of, like, self-awareness and understanding that you're playing to a certain stereotype.
Yeah.
Where, like, you do have to, like, stand... Like, Thor does it best, I think. Like, Chris Hemsworth's Thor, like, he understands that that's what Thor needs to be, is, like, a little bit silly sometimes. And, like, over-the-top heroism. And I think Jake Gyllenhaal's just too good at subtle performances.
Yeah, exactly. And we're not putting Nicolas Cage in that same boat, because he's definitely not. But yeah, he's not silly. He's silly in the wrong way, is Nicolas Cage, to be a superhero.
And what was your scene that could have saved it?
The villains, for me, were too easy to kill. I loved all of them.
They were so cool.
They were so cool, and it would have been really good to see more fights. We spent far too long on, like, the love story that made no sense. And then, like, the villains were just, like, really easy to kill. Like, water guy got bubbled to death. Wind guy got whirlwinded to death. And what happened to fucking mud guy? I don't even remember.
Oh, he got, like, turned into charcoal or something, didn't he? Like, he got, like, basically baked by Ghost Rider's, like, fire and then crumbled.
You see, lazy. That just feels really, really lazy. Yeah. And even Darkheart, who you were thinking, okay, even if the other three were super easy to kill, why is Darkheart so easy to kill?
Yeah. That's the thing, like, you don't really care about a story when it seems like the protagonist doesn't even have to work for it.
Exactly. Like, it would have been really good to see a scene where Nicolas Cage is defeated by Darkheart. Like, he gets his ass kicked, and then he has to come back and try something else. That would have been really, really cool. But it was just like, oh, okay, we're 5 minutes and we're done. Like, really just... It was a shame. It was a huge shame. So, yes, finally, bad film or bad director?
Okay. This film was directed by Mark Steven Johnson.
Okay.
Now, you would recognize his work from the Daredevil movie.
Oh, okay.
Which is pretty on brand, actually.
Yeah, fair.
You would also have seen his work. He hasn't directed a ton of stuff. Finding Steve McQueen, When in Rome.
Oh, that was cute. I enjoyed that film.
Yeah, you know. So I don't think he's a bad director. Like I said, this was, like, for Daredevil especially, like, this was before we thought superhero movies were good.
Yeah.
So I think he was given very limited, like, script writing and stuff to work with.
Yeah.
And that's not necessarily his fault. Like, we can't... If I've learned anything in this life, it's that we can't all be Chris Nolan.
No.
I think he did the best with what he had. He was probably trying to keep a bunch of producers happy. And I just wish him all the best.
Yeah, and I mean, it's very clear that he's not a bad director from what he has done. So, Simone, our newest and bestest segment, Will It Podcast. What are you thinking? What's happened this week? Who do you think?
So, this is one that I kind of, like, I'm hoping it won't podcast. Because I love the books. It's Artemis Fowl. The trailer for it just came out.
Oh, man.
And I want it to succeed so badly because those books were so good. My concern is that I always thought that they would do better as a series, especially maybe even like a cartoon series, because I think sometimes stuff just doesn't work in live action.
Yeah.
And I think Artemis Fowl is one of those things that doesn't work in live action. It would be really cool to have seen it as like even an anime.
Yeah, that's true.
And I just worry that like the movie will miss out or have to necessarily skip out the kind of nuances that the book goes into.
Because, yeah, like you said, the books were really, really good. And I mean, I read them so long ago that I only remember bits and bobs. But I do remember sort of the excitement that the books did cause. And to put it in a movie, are we going to get another Lemony Snicket series of unfortunate events situation where it is very clear that the movie is not good for it, but a TV series would have been better for it?
Yeah.
And so I agree with you there. But, like you said, it would be amazing if it did really well.
I'm cautiously optimistic.
That's our new slogan. The Cautiously Optimistic podcast for cautiously optimistic people.
Has quite a nice ring to it.
It does.
And what movie are you going to be doing?
So, people are going to be upset, and I don't care. I really
know what you're going to say. I fucking know what you're going to say.
You know what I'm going to say, and I don't care. And people can fight me on this. The Lion King. It's going to be shit. I don't even care.
It's got Donald Glover in it.
That makes me care a little bit, because I do love Donald Glover, and that's why I want it to kind of do well, but I know it's not gonna, because it's gonna go the way of Jungle Book.
I liked the new Jungle Book.
It didn't do well. It was
fun.
Average.
Remember, they're making this so that the next generation of kids gets to experience the story. So, like, I get it. They have to update it a bit. You have to change it a little bit. Like, if they made it exactly the same, it would be pointless.
Okay, I get your point of view. But have you... but you're wrong. So tell me, Simone, what is one of your favourite movies that, you know... What did you put for the Meet the Team last week? What was your favourite kids movie? What's your favourite movie to put when you were just at home?
The Swan Princess.
And when was the Swan Princess made?
Shit, long ago. I think it was like 1992 or something.
1992, okay. So let's just go on that basis, even if we don't look it up. Okay, if it was 1992, when were you born?
93.
93, exactly. So one of your favourite films came out before you were born, and you still watched it. Yes, the gap between 1993, when the original Lion King came out, and 2018 is far bigger. I will grant you that. But the point is that we have these things on DVD. People can go back and watch them and still have them part of their childhoods. Okay? You don't have to update it. The songs in The Lion King are perfect. The songs in the original Jungle Book are perfect. The remakes are disappointing because they're not live action. They're still CGI. And they still look creepy as balls. Because we know animals can't do these things. At least as an animation, we know that they can't do these things because they're cartoons. They're speaking animals, for fuck's sake.
About this.
I am angry about this because I love The Lion King. I love The Lion King. I love The Lion King 2, Simba's Pride. I love The Lion King 2.5 with Simone and Pumbaa. And I loved The Lion King 3. All three of them were awesome. 4 of them were great. So, this is a travesty, and it's gonna bomb because it's not capturing the true magic of The Lion King, and it will fail.
I also loved the remake they did of Beauty and the Beast. I enjoyed that so much. And you know what? I'm the kind of person who watches, like, who reads the same books over and over, and who, like, watches the same movies over and over. So I'm ready to keep watching the same movie, slightly reanimated and voiced by different people, over and over again. Like, this is for me.
Look, I'm not going to deny I'm going to go see it in cinemas because it is part of my childhood. It's part of all of our childhoods. But that's the point the original Lion King was. And we can teach, like, when I have the choice, when I eventually have kids, and I have the choice between showing them the original Lion King, the 1993 version
Uh-huh.
or the 2018 version, I know which one I'm gonna pick.
You don't know that, though.
I do know that.
One tweet I saw about it was they're showing how fucking cute little baby Simba is. And they were like, are you telling me I'm gonna have to watch this cute fucking thing? Be like, tell Mufasa to get up.
Yeah.
Later on. Like, and I was like, oh my god, I'm already crying.
I'm going to reserve judgment in that respect until I see it. But
You're
not
gonna
happy.
cry. I'm telling you right now, Chad. You are going to sob openly in the cinema. None of the kids will be crying, but all the grown-ups will be crying.
Look, you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But we're gonna... I want this to do well because it is such an important story, but also I don't think it's gonna. And that's my anger, and I'm gonna stick to it.
And we've done it again.
And we've done it again. Nicolas Cage week comes to a close, and somehow we all still have our sanity. It's been a very interesting week. Thank you very much for fucking dealing with that, for watching Vampire's Kiss if you did, and for revisiting Ghost Rider if you have. Good on you. Well done. We're proud of you. So, Simone, next week, now that we've returned to a little bit of normalcy, what are you doing next week?
Next week, I'm gonna tackle a controversial one,
Oh.
which is the latest Ghostbusters movie with the all-female cast.
Whoop whoop.
Yeah.
I
have
haven't
not
seen it
yet.
so yeah. It'll be good to see it from fresh eyes.
Yes.
Yes. So that'll be good. I'm excited.
And which movie are you doing?
I am doing the film that made Hugh Jackman's career. This is the film that everyone went, yeah, this guy's going to be an absolute star. I'm going to be doing Van Helsing.
Oh, I love Van Helsing.
mean, I am such a fan of Van Helsing. I know it's crap. I know it's a bad film.
It was our crap.
But it's golden crap.
It's so good. You can polish a turd.
You. So next week's going to be a very good scientific one, science fiction one.
Mm-hmm.
So get ready. And how are you this week, Simone?
I'm good. We're moving swiftly into summer now, which, as you know, I am the happiest when I'm just a little too warm, because I'm always cold.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm living my best life. I'm hoping to get a tan this weekend. I have shaved my legs, and I'm really good.
Bright, happy, future fun times.
Yeah. And how's your Christmas looking?
Well, yeah, we'll see. We'll see how my Christmas goes. I still need to do a whole bunch of shopping for Crimble. Gotta get the cards right. I'm glad that Michael Bublé's back on the radio.
Yeah. Oh, also, after next week, we gotta start with Christmas movies. I know we didn't want to do a whole month of Christmas movies, but we gotta do some.
Yeah, we do. We do have to do Christmas movies, I guess.
So, or Hanukkah movies.
Okay.
If anybody knows of some good, bad Hanukkah movies.
Yeah, holla at us. Kwanzaa, Hanukkah, Christmas.
General holidays movies.
Yeah, hit us up, because I'm not thinking of any right now, but yeah, that sounds good.
Oh, Netflix has a good lineup.
Oh, I'm excited. I've seen that they've got quite a few more Christmas films.
And they all look appropriately atrocious.
Yeah. It's going to be a good Christmas, y'all. So well done, Simone. We've done it again. Thank you to everyone who has listened to us again. Thank you for tuning in every week. We know this is as hard on you as it is on us. And we hope we make your weeks a little bit brighter every time.
Yes.
So where can the people find you, Simone?
They can follow me on Instagram at simone.le.rous, and they can read my articles on forgeandflint.com. They can follow the podcast at It's Not That Bad 1, and then on Instagram we're just It's Not That Bad Podcast. And they can email us at itsnotthatbadpodcast@gmail.com.
Yeah, we look for your suggestions, and we like to hear where we can improve. You know, we're not perfect, although we try to be, and so any suggestions are really helpful, and I promise you have my word that Simone won't attack you if you do write into us with some criticisms. I will protect you all.
I'm not that mean.
Yeah, I don't know. That time we got some criticisms. You almost murdered someone.
I wasn't.
You almost turned.
I was just
Nicolas
swearing
Cage.
because they said they didn't like us swearing, and I was like, well, fuck that.
Well, you have my word. I will protect you. But you can also find me on Instagram and Twitter at chatsby1993. So that's CHADSBY 1993. You can also find me on Forge and Flint, which is the parent website for all of our interesting articles, fantastic short stories, and awesome poetry. And also, you can find this podcast there. If you haven't already found us. So yeah, as always, please subscribe, and tell your friends, tell your neighbors, tell the weird guy who's your boss who keeps harassing you. He might back off now. Or, tell the devil, make a contract. So tell him to listen to the podcast. Make contracts. Guys.
Chad'll help you out.
Seriously. Go to a crossroads this weekend. Make a contract with the devil. Do it. But also, make him subscribe to this podcast. Because he's got a lot
Put
of
that
followers.
in your contracts. You can negotiate.
Yeah, that's a good point. You can negotiate with the devil. There's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that. Contracts work both ways, guys. Remember that.
Yeah, and if you need a lawyer...
Yeah, if you need a demonological contract lawyer, holla. I'll be your sole provider. Ah, so good. It just sounds right. It just sounds right. Well, thank you for listening, and as we say at the end of every episode, we love you, and there's nothing you can do about it.
We love you, and there's nothing you can do about it. Bye!
Goodbye!